Hello again to all subscribers and listeners of this channel. This is Obsidian Radio, and this video will be the final review of the entirety of Season 3 of Attack on Titan. A final analysis about everything in Season 3 from beginning to end, so here we go. Note: I've been missing action for quite a while, couple of months. So many things going on. So to all my subscribers, please forgive me for taking such a long break from posting. But now that the dub for Attack on Titan Season 4 has finally begun, I think it started last week maybe, I'm coming back with the weekly reviews of each episode until the end of the Attack on Titan series. Also, for this specific video, again, please bear with me since it's been months since I did a review like this. So some details of what I remember in Season 3 may be a little bit fuzzy, but I'm going to go ahead and get it in. So buckle up, let's get into it. First thoughts. So far, as far as I'm concerned, this has been an incredibly good season, and I love nearly every bit of it. And I like the one thing I really liked is the two storylines, how the season divided the two storylines, but also how they brought them together and tied them together so well. Also, the first half started out kind of a little bit confusing, but it got better and easier to understand later on. Then there's the entirety of the Kenny character, Kenny Ackerman, and how he was just purely awesome. And then the second half was quite dark. It was very depressing, very heart-wrenching, but very professionally written and well executed by the animation team, by Wit Studio, etc. But ultimately, this season of the series just really brought Attack on Titan to a whole new level. It helped the series mature and bring everything within the story to a new height that the previous seasons didn't. As far as I'm concerned, another round of applause for Asayama Hajime. Well done, very well done. So let's break it down. As far as a major plot for Season 3, the first half of Season 3, the first, 12 episodes, I believe. Eren and Historia are captured by Rod Reis, who ends up being Historia's father. Not him directly, but they're actually captured by the Interior Attack Squad that works for him. Rod brings Historia and Eren into the underground cavern that was built many years ago, so that way Historia, can bring the Founding Titan back into the Reis family possession. This is despite the fact that her father nearly had her mother executed when she was 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. And he basically abandoned her throughout most of her childhood. Or almost her entire childhood. Now, as far as the major plot for the second half of Season 3. As soon as that starts, they've got to basically stop the Beast Titan, the Armor Titan, the Cart Titan, and the Colossal Titan from taking back Shingashin District and kidnapping Eren. It's at this point that the death toll starts to mount, the stakes are very high, and the casualties will take on an immense and emotional toll on everyone. Now, as far as interesting things I noticed in Season 3. One thing I noticed that was kind of annoying is that Eren cried too much, and as far as I'm concerned. In the first half of the season, I get that after Eren is forced to see the memories of his father, the memories of the Reis family, or the Reis family, however you pronounce it, Frieda, and he no longer thinks that he's special or has any special abilities to defeat the Titans. He doesn't feel that he's destined to do that anymore. He starts to have this really strong bout of self-loathing or lacking of self-confidence. And he starts to think very little of himself. But even with that understanding, his self-pity did get a little bit irritating, a little bit annoying to me. Although it did make sense in the storyline. Another thing that I thought was kind of odd is Historia never seemed to fully acknowledge that Kenny was the one that was hired to murder her mother, and that he was the one that actually murdered her in front of her eyes. She knew who he was. She knew that he did that. Yeah, I didn't feel like she had a strong enough reaction to seeing Kenny. Maybe it was just me, but I thought that was kind of odd that she didn't seem to react as strongly to recognizing him. That just seems strange to me, but whatever. Blowing up Rod Reis was a very oddly disgusting but oddly beautiful scene at the same time. The entire sequence from when Eren threw the bombs inside of his mouth to when Historia was cutting down and actually beheaded him, the entire sequence was just incredibly well done, unimaginably epic. The underground cavern has the same crystal as what Eren and Annie's crystal structures have when they're to use the crystal in their Titan form, which I think is very interesting. Because that's one of the first things I came up to. Is like, yeah, that looks exactly like the crystal that Annie's Titan had when she was trying to escape over the wall. Interesting thing that I think is going to come out later on in the story when we see more of those crystals again, if we see them. A very interesting thing about Eren as the character. Eren has gone full circle in terms of how he feels about the Titans and the entire situation. He went from being this vengeful little kid who had this extreme rage over his mother being killed, went to, from that animalistic revengeful rage, to an absolute horror and vengeance over being betrayed by Reiner and Bertolt, to feeling that he has this special need, the special ability to defeat the Titans once and for all, as well as other Titan shifters. Then he finds out that he's really not that special. So much of what he has is actually given to him by Frieda Reis and his father, who both died in order for him to have the abilities that he has. So he's not really that special anymore. And he doesn't really seem to have that strong drive to defeat the Titans anymore like he used to. So now he feels like he's only just a human that's under these particular circumstance that's trapped in this bigger situation. And then, over the course of this season, he becomes this very calm yet frighteningly consistent, much more mellow character that seems to have a much deeper understanding and empathy towards the Titans and everyone involved in this entire situation. Which is odd in that he's calm, yet he seems more frightening and more powerful than he was before compared to when he used to be angry. So it's a weird shift mentally and almost even spiritually that he seems to have mellowed out, yet seems more powerful in a way. It's hard to describe, but hopefully you'll get what I'm talking about. Now, in terms of the animation quality was top-notch throughout almost the entire season, except there are a couple of things that were kind of odd in one episode. The flashback episode with Grisha Yeager taking the Founding Titan, that could have been better. So in episode 6, entitled Sin, too much of that episode looked a tad stiff to me. It looked a little bit underdeveloped. And you all know me, I don't like criticizing animators because I know they have a very difficult job of actually producing all these. But I gotta say, episode 6 just felt a little underwhelming in terms of what it looked like and how the characters moved around, what they did, etc. Especially that underground fight scene. It just felt like I was expecting more between Grisha and Frieda when they actually faced off. So, as far as the best animated scenes, it seems like they always involve Levi, but I would actually say that I gotta give an honorable mention to Historia when she's cutting down her father. Right after the explosion, when he launches out the gigantic Titan near the wall, right when she cuts his head off, cuts through his Titan piece, and you see the flashback of his life right before he screams. I think that entire animation sequence is very, very good and will go down as one of the slightly more overlooked sequences in the series. But that's just my opinion. Which says a lot considering it didn't really contain Levi that much, except for a small little segment. Now, as far as the scoring or the music, the scoring was absolutely fantastic throughout the entire series, or I should say throughout the entire season. Favorite scores used, in my opinion, were when Levi was slicing the Beast Titan. Now, I'm not sure if this is exactly the same thing, but it sounds like The Weight of Lives, that entire song that they played right when it was defeating the Beast Titan. Very good scoring, very good choice for that scene, as far as I'm concerned. Then there's the scoring that was done during Armin's sacrifice to defeat Bertolt when he distracted him and allowed Bertolt to let his guard down so Eren could get him. That scoring, right when he's getting launched away with the steam blast or the heat blast, I couldn't quite catch the name of that one. I still am not sure exactly what that one's called. I gotta go back and look that up if I can find it. But I thought that was a very good choice for that particular scene when Armin is basically sacrificing himself. Then I think it's the same one or very similar. There's the music used during the revealing of the owl. This one sounded very similar to Armin vs. Bertolt theme. I think a lot of people have colloquially called it the owl theme or the owl reveal theme. So I'll say these things were some of the best ones in all of season 3, as far as I'm concerned. As far as the acting, I thought the acting was superb. I didn't really see anything wrong with the acting. Unlike season 2, I didn't really hear anyone do any mistakes with the wording or the names. I feel like the acting and the raw emotion they put into their characters was perfectly on point, pretty much from beginning to end throughout the entire season. Some of the most intense scenes with the acting were basically when everyone was struggling trying to figure out who should get the serum, Armin or Erwin. Every single actor was on point with their character throughout that entire thing. Everyone. Also, I'll give a really strong mention to the acting between Levi's voice actor and Kenny's voice actor right before Kenny died. The tone, the emotion, everything about that was absolutely perfect when it comes to the inflections of both their voices when they're interacting with each other for the very last time. Absolutely top notch. Now, as far as the major complaints that I had about season 3, they are A, it was kind of annoying that the season had to be split, but that's only a minor thing. I totally understand why they had to do it that way. It ended up ultimately being a very good way of fleshing out the entire series or in the entire season without everything feeling too rushed. So ultimately it came out to be a good thing. And B, yeah, this is the only major thing that I had a problem with is that the animation of episode 6 just felt a little bit off and that it didn't feel like it was at the same level as the rest of the season. Other than that, everything else was pretty much on point. As far as the best episodes in the season of season 3, here are my top 4 personally. Top 4 episodes are Hero, the episode where we basically got misdirected focus, and I love how that was done. That was episode 17. So in that episode, yeah, like I said, we got misdirected by the trailer and by certain things in the highlights by the fan base, by the studio, etc. Everything obviously was pointing to Levi, when in reality, the hero of the episode was actually Armin. He nearly sacrificed himself to do what needed to be done to stop Bertolt and ultimately stopped everyone from advancing against the Shigashina district. He was the one that actually did that. Even though everyone was focusing on Levi and what he did to the Beast Titan. Then there's episode 10, Friends, where we're seeing the backstory of Kenny Ackerman. We're getting more info on the Ackermans as a whole. We're seeing the relationship between Kenny and Uri Reese and how touching it was that they got along with each other so well. We also see how it was so enlightening. It adds so much more depth to his character when it comes to how he views the world and also his connection with the Reese family. So a very good episode, an episode that I think will be slightly underrated by most. Then there's episode 20, That Day, where we get to see Eren Yeager's father, Grisha Yeager. We get to see him and basically where Eren gets his anger from. Another beautifully done flashback episode where we get to see the father of Eren Yeager and his struggles as a poor Eldian in the Marleyan ghettos. His anger towards the oppression, what they did to his younger sister, how they treated him throughout his entire childhood, and his journey towards securing the Attack Titan that Eren now has. And then there's episode 22, the final episode in season 3, the culmination, the other side of the wall. Here's where we start to see that increasingly calm yet spooky side of Eren Yeager. An Eren Yeager who has finally accepted certain realities, yet doesn't seem to be finished with certain duties he feels he has for whatever he has to do in the future. Whatever those duties are. Very good. Very, very good. Now, as far as the worst episode in season 3. Again, I keep harping on this, but it's just the only thing that really irked me. Other than the splitting of this season, which really isn't that bad, but this other thing is that, yeah, episode 6, I can't remember exactly why. Maybe maybe they offshored it. I don't know, but something about the animation quality just seemed, the storyline itself was good. Just the animation quality just seemed a little odd, as well as it seemed like there's a little more censorship over some of the gory parts, which I'm not sure why they did that, since they didn't do that badly before in prior episodes or in prior seasons. But other than that, I think that's about it. That's about the weakest episode in the season so far. Only because of what they were doing, the animation, and what I feel like was some mild censorship. Now, as far as my favorite episode, not necessarily the best or the worst, but my favorite episode of season 3, I would actually say it's Friends. Why? Not only do we see a well-written backstory of Kenny Ackerman and the Reese family, not only was it a profound episode with wise words coming from a character we wouldn't expect to hear that from, we also get to hear those wise words of Kenny right before his death. Wise, haunting words, very profound words that unfortunately and ultimately are a very true examination of most of humanity, if not all of humanity. All have to be slaves to something. Interesting. Now, as far as my favorite scene, this one was tough, but I think I'm going to go with, despite all the Levi scenes, despite all the action scenes, all the action-heavy scenes, and the incredibly emotional scenes surrounding Armin, Commander Erwin, Bertolt, Historia, etc., I actually think my favorite scene is when Eren touches the last Titan seen crawling his way towards the walls. And when he touches him, he calls him comrade. That's a stark difference from the 9-year-old Eren that wanted to destroy and slay every Titan they ever came across. Very interesting turnaround with the main character's mentality. I'm going to put out some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions. The scene where I think it's the 4th time he actually kind of faces Mikasa. Bertolt versus Mikasa. Then he sets out the nuke and basically nukes all of Shingashin, or not all, but a major portion of Shingashin district. Bertolt seemed to have his growth of resolve. And you see this every time he faces Mikasa. He seems to get stronger and stronger and more aggressive every time they face off. I thought that was very interesting that it culminated that way in that particular fight scene. Then there's the reveal of the owl. This very beautiful scene, this very beautiful episode ultimately, where we see Eren's father Grisha Jaeger had an ally all these years. And it was Eren Kruger, who was basically watching him from the shadows all this time before he decided to, I can't remember the other guy's name, before he decided to throw that guy off the wall and ultimately give the attack titan to Grisha Jaeger. So, very, very intense scene. Very particular and very powerful, very story-moving situation that helped push the story arc very far forward. Amazing writing. Then there's the scene where Historia defeats her father. The scene right when she slashes her father's head, he explodes, and you see his memories flashing as Historia crash lands onto the ground right before her. Although I do feel that there's a slight plot hole there. Same thing with Armin. How did they fall and not fall to the ground and die? I'm not sure. He fell somewhere and survived after he got blasted by Bertolt, where she magically fell into a bale of hay inside of a cart. That I don't get, but either way. Other than that, very nice scene where Historia cuts her father and defeats him after he misused her for so long and neglected her. Now, as far as a 1 to 10 score, overall, I'd give the entirety of Season 3 a 9.5 out of 10. Absolutely beautiful season. A few very minor weak points here and there, but overall, extremely good. Now, as far as overall summary. So here's how I feel about Season 3 as a whole. I feel that Season 3 of Attack on Titan was incredibly beautiful. It was most well done with really good backstory on so many different characters, on so many different levels, with very good dialogue, a critique on human nature, which came from Kenny Ackerman, again, that's going to kind of sound kind of odd when you first see his character in the beginning, but he broke down something that is very true about most humans. Very, very, very good dialogue. Very good monologuing, too. Also, it told the story without beating us over the head with cliches or politics or any type of condescension. One thing I like about Attack on Titan is it does a good job of reflecting certain things about humanity without being preachy. It just tells the story and lays things out very subtly that you catch when you watch the story or watch the series over and over. Very well written, very well done, very good alliteration, very good illusion, very good plot points, very good characterization, very good laying the groundwork for what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future when season 4 comes along. So it's very good at creating tension, raising the stakes, making some profound statements about humans and humanity and humankind, our intentions as well as our flaws. But one of the best things I think season 3 did is it moved the story forward. Season 3 felt a lot more mature than the previous 2 seasons in terms of how it dealt with the characters, the situation, and how everything within Attack on Titan moved forward as a whole. Very nicely done. And I hope season 4 picks up very well from where season 3 left off. And with that being said, that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, share, and donate to support this channel. You all have a nice day. I'm out. Peace.